Welcome to another episode of Malaysians on the Move. I'm so excited for this one because I will be speaking to Selva Ashwini after over a decade. Selva and I used to be close during the last 2 years of secondary school, but these days we have mostly kept in touch on Instagram. Just little DMs here and there, and I've been observing her journey from afar. Joining me from Australia, so happy to have you on, Selva, and for everyone to learn about your story.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this podcast, which is the brainchild of my very talented high school friend here. And thank you, Yosh, for giving me this opportunity to share my story. So, my name is Selva Ashwini. Most people know me as Ashwini, or for simplicity's sake, Ash here at my workplace. But back in school, a lot of people called me Selva. And it's been such a long time since I heard this, and it's nice. It brings me back to school memories. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're catching up after so many years. I think one of my last memories of us hanging out is me attending your 18th birthday in February of 2009. Your parents threw you like a big bash.
Yeah.
And I think we had like a high school reunion after, but I cannot remember if you were there. But I definitely remember going to your birthday. And after that, we've just kept in touch through social media and occasional DMs. But otherwise, like I haven't really spoken to you. So this is great.
Are you talking about the blue teamed birthday party that we had in?
Yes, that's it. That's the one. It was blue themed.
Yeah, blue teamed birthday party. Yes, that was in. I remember it was in Sunway Lagoon Club. I remember, and I think I did come for the high school reunion after, but I think we had so many reunions, like Asuntarians, right? So
Maybe there might be one or two that we didn't overlap.
yeah, I didn't go. Yeah, exactly.
You have to introduce yourself from the beginning.
So, to everyone else listening, I grew up in Subang Jaya, or really Sunway, in a state called Selangor all my life. I went to Asunta Primary and Secondary. So, Asuntarians out there, woohoo. I have two younger brothers. And growing up, I would say we were very blessed as our parents were able to provide us with the best in everything. But even with all that comfort around me, I didn't settle quite easily, as you would have known, Yosh. I always wanted to excel in everything I did, and I remember always being quite driven, goal oriented. That included academics or co curricular activities. I was a dancer, I was in debate, I was in public speaking, I was in interact club, and all those sports weren't my thing. I was nominated to be team's leader, which is the funniest thing of the year. Yeah, so I enjoyed leading a team, and thankfully, hopefully, people liked me being their leader as well. So that's a bit about me and my life in KL before we moved. So after secondary school, I did my Monash University foundation year in Sunway College, and then pursued medicine in Monash University, Sunway, which worked really well because literally the campus was 10 minutes away from my place. So I was really thrilled, and you can imagine I've always been quite a pampered child, stayed close to home for years. And of course, I did my clinical years in Johor Bahru. So third year onwards, you go to Johor to do your attachment in the hospital there.
And for listeners, Johor is about 3 hours away from where you grew up, essentially 3 to 4 hours. So you had to actually move away, right, from home.
Yeah, so we stayed there. But again, 3 hours is nothing for me. I used to come back so often. My friends were like, well, why are you going back so often? So, and in my final year, we have to do an attachment in the hospitals in Melbourne. So we did that. So that is just as part of the accreditation. So you get both the Australian accreditation as well. In that sense, if we move back, we do not have to sit for the Australian Medical Council exams. And I had some great friends whom I call very proudly my Monashans, who've stuck through thick and thin all these years. It was a great time of my life, and I really never had the idea to move until it all happened suddenly. Yeah.
Wow, that was a great intro. I do want to add a few things.
Yeah.
You speaking about high school and how you were very driven and you had a lot going on because you were doing Bharatnatyam dancing like outside of school. And then in school, you were so involved in like everything, prefect as well.
Yeah.
I always felt like, I don't want to say like my marker, but you like inspired me. And I was very good in math and sciences, but I wasn't the best in like history and all that. But you were an all-rounder. You were just good across the board. And I always was like, Selva Ashwini is like that person that I want to be.
That's very kind of you, but I really think you're still the master in science and math. I still remember I was just doing so many things. I was, representing school in so many things, and it was my SPM, and it was extremely important for me to study for that exam as well. So I had to
Yeah,
make a lot of tough decisions then. But
yeah.
and I will always remember one thing, Yosh, that you told me. You were like, Selva, whether you're in Kazakhstan or whether
Actually, that was in relation to how passionate you were to be a doctor. So you knew from the get go you wanted to go into medicine. And actually, I coined that phrase. I was like, whether you are in Kazakhstan and I'm in Afghanistan, I will still go to you to get my heart treated because you also knew, like, you were interested in the heart. I don't know where you are now, and I mean, you can reveal after, but you're someone that knew with strong conviction that this is what I wanted to do. Do
yeah.
you remember where that came from?
Yeah, I think coming from Indian family with a background of quite a few doctors, it is quite hard sometimes because you grow up all your life thinking that you can only be a few things, like doctors and stuff. But naturally, I grew into it. I really thought I could be a doctor, and I wanted to be one, and specifically a cardiologist or heart doctor, because my grandmother, so my mom's mom, she's had heart disease and she's had bypass surgeries, and she was looking after me, although she was sick when I was born. And she really, really wanted me to be a cardiologist, to look after people like her, and really help the needy who can't really afford those treatments and things like that. So my mom always told me this story. So I just felt like, oh, I've never met this person, but this person had so much love for me, because I think she passed away when I was 6 months or so. So I just felt like I really need to, keep up to that. So, and that was the reason. And then I just never really budged from that. I just felt like, okay,
Yeah, it's like the seed was sown.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Now I'm going to become a doctor, no matter how difficult it is. I'm going to do this, and after a while, I just thought, oh my god, I can't imagine myself being anything else as well. So I think I've picked the right career. Yeah,
Excellent, excellent to know that you are following your passion and following your heart, literally.
yeah.
Let's get back on track. So you completed your medical school, or in Malaysia it's an MBBS, right? You completed that in Malaysia itself, and then you went on to, in Malaysia, like, the residency equivalent is you have to do a housemanship, which is you get posted to a government hospital because we have public healthcare there, and you actually have to just slog it out like hours and hours, where you go on rotations for different kind of specialities, as I understand it. How was it then for you? And then I guess you eventually moved.
So I did my housemanship, or internship, for 2 years in a public hospital in Selangor. It was hectic, crazy, but again, I am not sure if I will have the energy to go through all of that again. But I had a fantastic time because I had excellent friends and colleagues. I somehow escaped the target of the bullies, and
Yeah.
which is still around and has always been there, and it was good. I met some excellent friends and supervisors. I completed all my rotations. I was in my final posting, which was emergency department, and we were almost wrapping that up at the end of that 2 years. And then one fine random day, my boyfriend, now husband, called me and said, "Look, some opportunities came up. Can you send me your CV? I'm going to apply to all these hospitals in Australia." I'm like, "Wait, what? Why this sudden decision? But, and he was like, look, and I think this was the sweetest thing anyone said. I will always remember this. And he said, look, I want to marry you and look after you really well. And there is still lots of biasness and injustice in the, like in the public health system. Plus, we got to work long hours, really hard, and still not get paid much. I'm not sure, if I'm able to look after you like how your parents looked after you. I'm not from an extremely wealthy family, but I can work hard, and I have the knowledge to be where to get where I want to. We were also doing locum shifts on top of our shifts at that time, which was also very tiring. And I know a lot of people still do that, and I have a lot of respect for them. But so he applied to several places for him and on my behalf as well. And the first place that was offered to us as a job was in Darwin, which is a northern kind of rural area in northern Australia. And it was really hard for my parents to accept initially because we were very close, and they never expected me to, like, move. And like I told you, I've always been with my parents the whole time, and I was what, 23, 22. I know a lot of you guys moved out really early, like in the when you're 18 and 19.
I'm very intrigued that, he just called you up and said, look, there are some opportunities. It's overseas, insinuating that there's some things that are better about moving, maybe the quality of life, the skill set that you will acquire.
Yeah.
And you kind of just trusted it and was like, yeah, here's my CV. Let's see how it goes. Like you really like took a leap of faith almost.
It was a leap of faith, and it was just all sudden. But I'll trust anything that Kumar says because I know he always makes the right decision when it comes to long-term planning and things. So I know if he's come to the point where he's making choices and applications, that means he's thought through this really well. So I was like, fine, we'll go try, we'll go for it. If we get it, great. If we don't, we do have a backup option. It's fine.
Got it.
So, but soon it all worked out, and we completed our internship, and we left in June 2018. So really not very long ago. It's just been about 6 years.
I do have two questions. So you have to give a little bit of backstory on how you met, and you guys were not married yet, right? And you just moved as a couple. Your parents, how did they feel about that? Because sometimes Malaysians can be traditional.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was tough. And but we told our parents by then, and so they were agreeable. And Kumar's family did come to our place, kind of formally talked through things, and we already had two friends, Monasians, already there. And when we went across, we had more friends coming in as well from Monash. We just got all our friends because they were really looking, because it's a rural area. Not a lot of people would want to go. So we actually got a lot of our friends to come as well. So the families met, and they've agreed and accepted and said it's fine. And when we moved as well, so we were staying in hospital accommodations and things like that. My mom was with us for a while, just looking after us and making sure there's good food and things like that. And then slowly things progressed. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, it's very refreshing to hear that it occurred like this. In fact, it's, yeah, very empowering. You could just tell that he really cared about your career as well. And like you said, saw this as a great move. And yeah, you guys went. And I have to ask, you were, very close to your family, always lived at home. How was the adjustment after your mom left initially?
Well, it was very challenging. I grew up being pampered, never really did housework, never cooked, nothing of that sort. But
Touche.
but I think we picked it up very quickly. Like, I started looking at groceries and how to buy them, and started cooking. And it was tough because initially each of us had our own hospital accommodation, which is like a very small single unit room. And then once more friends came in, we then moved to a place where we could all share, which is good. And then we didn't have a car initially, so that's why we stayed in the hospital accommodation, because so that we can just walk to the hospital. And then slowly we had to get a car, and we didn't want to get a fancy, massive car because it was just moved and getting our registrations and all that done. So we got a Kia, I still remember, a Kia manual car. Three of us, like Kumar, me, and my friend Manju, we were very close. The three of us were housemates. So we were sharing the car, taking turns and dropping each other. And I had to relearn how to drive a manual car. So it was all challenging but interesting. I think that was a big turning point and, sort of learning pivot in my life. It was great. Like, it was tough, but more and more friends from Malaysia were coming, from Monash, whom we have known for many years. So
The reason that it was somewhat easy for your friends from Monash, Malaysia to come to Australia and work as a doctor is
mhm,
because Monash is an Australian university. Like you were certified, to work in Australia. So as a result, like it's easy in quotes. I'm sure that, it's not always easy, but it's
yeah,
easier for people who graduate from Monash, Malaysia to move. And that's why a lot of your friends or many people that you knew came and joined y'all.
yeah, that's right. But of course, for others who wants to come to Australia, if you're not from an Australian accredited university, it'll be different. They'll need to sit for the Australian Medical Council exam, and
Okay. And you were exempted from that because of your degree.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. That's great. Okay. So now going back to that, so you're, building a life there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that when you first got there,
Mm-hmm.
you and Kumar were like, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like maybe we'll, spend some years here and see where life takes us. So you were you weren't like so worried about how long you'll be there and all. But as years went by, I'm assuming that became more permanent, where you realize, like, hey, I'm actually making a home here. I'm going to be staying here, which means I'm going to be far away from my parents and, yada, yada, yada. How was that moment for you when maybe you realize, like, hey, this is my life now? I live here.
Yeah. That thought just still comes and goes still today because it's, like I said, I'm somewhere in between. I'm not like 10 years here, I'm 6 years. So, it still comes and goes. And I'm like, oh, yeah, wow, I mean, I'm actually making a life here. And whenever I go back home, which I still do quite often, at least twice a year. So, and I tell my parents, like, oh, I need to go back home. And then I'm like, whoa, this is my home now. Like, Perth,
Yeah.
where I am now is home. We have our own house here now. And, we have little Baba on the way as well. So it's all happening. And I guess after a while, you do really make where you are your home. And home is where the heart is. Home is where Kuma is for me. And
Lovely.
yeah, so that's how it's worked out, and it's fine. Like after Darwin, I've moved to Perth, and that was in 2021 because we knew we just couldn't stay there. That you needed, if you need a progression in your career and moving on to something better, you need to move. So we moved, and then we bought a house here last year in 2023. So it's been a year plus. So I think Perth is slowly becoming home. It's only 5 hours from Malaysia, 5.5. It's so close. The weather is much better than the rest of Australia, as much as people might not agree. It's quite sunny throughout the year. You know, although we have the four seasons, it's really nice, and you've got lots of Malaysians here as well. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that there are parts of Australia, like Perth, that are very close to Malaysia. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that you have to get on a plane to go home. It is close enough that technically speaking, like you could, easily get home. So
yeah.
I'm sure that comforts you to some extent.
Yes, it does. It does. So, and even any special events or even in an emergency, we could always fly back. It could just be a weekend trip if it must be. And like I said, we have a lot of Malaysians here. We have lots of Malaysian food here,
Yeah.
which makes me never miss home. Like every almost, if you see five restaurants, you'll see at least one Malaysian, and they're like good Malaysian food. I'm not, because
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, I'm not a doctor, but share as much as you want. How do you find the medical practice in Australia, and how was your initial training? Was it as, tiring as it was in Malaysia, all that kind of stuff? And now you're also specializing, right?
Yeah. So when we started off in Darwin, we started off as a resident medical officer. It's like a junior medical officer, and I only did 6 months of that, and then they promoted me to become a registrar. So I got a registrar job. I did, I think, 2 years. Then I got into training while I was in Darwin as well, in the physician training. But then halfway through, I had to move to Perth, so I had to reapply to training. But I got into training here as well, and finished my physician exams. And now I'm doing cardiology registrar. It's really competitive to get into cardiology anywhere in the world, but to get into the advanced training program here, which is cardiology and fellowship, like subspecializations. I'm a registrar working towards that. So in terms of working hours and things, we don't have the 24-hour, 36-hour on call sort of a thing anymore, or at least here. I'm sure there are, like, surgeons, they get called in quite a bit at night and things like that. But for us, it's not so much. We do have long shifts. So we do have 12 hours, 14-hour shifts. But you will get, if you are doing three long shifts in a row, for example, you will get at least 2 to 3 days off after.
Oh, wow. I know some friends in Malaysia that just get the next day off and they do an overnight and they're done at 8 a.m. and then they just have that day. Wow, this is good.
Yeah, and then you do it's 80 hours per week most of the time, and if you go anything beyond that, because for whatever reasons you're rostered more that week or whatever, everything else is overtime paid. So that was good. And I just feel like overall the work life balance here is obviously much better. And I know people will be listening to this and be like, yeah, she's overseas and, it's easy to talk. And really, I'm grateful that I have this opportunity. And again, I understand that not everyone has this opportunity or will be able to leave their family and come. But I think it is tough. Like sometimes, like I said, you've got to make tough choices, tough decision. I could have stayed back as well.
Yeah.
But it just changes your perspective about a lot of things. But I personally think our Malaysian health system is really good. When I was a houseman, I just was very like I was amazed by a lot of things that we used to do for people for barely anything, like barely any amount, and it was great. But obviously I've been off the system for a while now, but I've been following, and I understand that it's just been really taxing for the doctors these days because they don't get, they're underpaid and they're still working extreme hours. The contract doctors are not getting their jobs, so the house offices are very limited. Medical offices are working overtime, and I just feel really bad because they want to give their best, but they can't give their best if they're exhausted. So, the Ministry of Health should really consider upping their pay and doing things because if not, the system will collapse,
Yeah.
and that's not going to be good for the rest of the people because how many of us can afford private healthcare and things like that? So
That's a good point.
yeah, and I know many, many good doctors, my friends, who are like myself. Like they're very ambitious. They want to be this and that, and they've all left government service, and they're in private service now, or they're doing their own GP. They run their own clinics and things like that because it was just exhausting for them. So they were, picked the better work-life balance and decided to go. And the cost of living is going up as well, so you can't expect to, just pay someone the same way and make them work three times harder. So
Yeah, yeah. I know also in Malaysia, it's a little hard to specialize. Like the path to specialization doesn't really exist. I mean, it exists, but it's not easy and to get into it. I know personally some friends who, really struggle to continue on and they're ambitious and want to specialize, but it's not very clear cut. And
yeah,
on top of it, like you said, they're working long hours.
yeah.
So even if they pursue a specialization, it's very, very difficult because like studying and juggling all of that, like really means that they don't have a life, like, work life balance, like they don't have the life part of it. Obviously, I don't have any. I'm far from how like everything runs and works, but I can understand that things need to change.
I just want to say here that I have a lot of respect for people who are still in the government service doing their masters. I still have a few friends so hard studying, managing their family. Like I have so much of respect for you, and like I really think you guys are doing great. And I just really hope there'll be light at the end of the tunnel, and better things will come along the way for them.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And so now that you've really, settled in here,
Yeah.
what are some of your hobbies? Or, because you talked about work life balance, so what are the life parts?
Yeah. So since I've moved here, I think fitness and health has been a big part of my life. So since 2018, 2019, I've just been really active in gym and classes, strength training, and it's been what 6 years, and I am 37 weeks pregnant now, and I still go to the gym because it's just been such a big part of my life, and I think I've just been consistent, which I'm very grateful for. After work, there's always something to look forward to, or even before work if I go before a long shift. It just keeps me quite driven, motivated. There's a lot of discipline around it,
Yeah.
so that's good. And the other thing that keeps me sane is my dancing. Since I moved to Perth, so in the last 3 years, I have joined a dance school here, classical dance school. So I do Bharatanatyam, as you rightfully said at the beginning. So, and I'm continuing that as well. So since I moved here, it's been great. Like I've performed in so many shows here. I've got my own dance family who celebrate me. They're really lovely, all my dance classmates. So it's really good, and I really hope to just continue these, and at some stage, maybe in the next year or two, I really want to do my arangetram, which is like graduation of dance. I really want to do that. That would take a lot of time and energy because it could months practicing and things like that. But that's one of my dreams, and I'll probably get that later on in the next coming years. But yeah, I think just keeping myself active and fit throughout just keeps me going. I just don't feel like coming back home and just being on the phone or things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, you're basically just the same as you were like all those years ago with the consistency, the discipline, the passion.
But I was, yeah, maybe I think those qualities is very hard to get rid of. I feel like I'm a type A personality, and sometimes it can really get into you and like really emotionally. And that's why my stabilizer during all those moments is actually Kuma, because he knows when I don't get something the way I want, I just go into extreme emotions. It's either I'm extremely happy or I'm extremely sad. There's no in between.
Yeah,
So
that's basically me as well. My partner also helps to balance me out. So,
yeah, so he's like, you just gotta be calm in all situations. Just take it as it comes. It'll be fine. So yeah,
okay, yeah. So it looks like you've built like a really nice routine here.
yeah,
And yeah, you have a lot of things together. And yeah, like you said, you're expecting a baby soon. That's going to be like a whole new thing.
yeah. I think it's going to be a life-changing moment again for us. But it's interesting, moving together to having a home here and then now having our own family. It'll all fall into place. Just take it one step at a time and see how it goes. We've got great support, like my mom-in-law is here with us for a while. So, and then my mom will be coming. So, and there'll be a lot of them. My best friend, she'll be visiting as well. So, yeah,
Yeah. So honestly, like you're one of the very few people that I've talked to,
yeah,
or I don't know if I should make that generalization, but you moved and actually really thrived in keeping your community close and actually expanding your community, right? In Perth because of like your dance family. And then because of the proximity to Malaysia, it somewhat feels like you're able to see your family often. And then like a lot of your Monash friends also moved, and then obviously you made new friends. So did you ever feel any kind of, I don't want to use the word loss, but like a void in that you're missing a community?
To be honest, not really, because work has been, keeping you busy, and like you rightfully said, we've just built a community here. You're so close to, family's always around, and if there's anything, I just miss my best friend, and she's got her own little family now. So I sometimes wish that I get to be with them every day. I guess that and my family. Otherwise, not so much really. But in Perth, like it's great. The landscape's great. The weather's great. There's so much to do, and then family, friends. So it's been fine.
Yeah, that's all you need, honestly. Like
Yeah.
you said, it doesn't matter where the home is as long as you have that support, the community, and your heart, as you said.
Mm.
But I still have to ask the golden question, as I always do. Do you think you will move back to Malaysia someday?
I was thinking. I have always been thinking through this question. Look, I personally would like to move back to Malaysia at some stage. That could be, 10, 20 years down the road, maybe retire there. And I've always had this dream to set up a trust or set up a funding for people who can't afford medical treatments and things like that. And to do that, I need to have a lot of money. So that's why my husband and I are trying to make a plan for that. And I really want to give back to my community, and I want to give back to people at home. And we've seen family members not being able to afford treatment and things like that. So we really want to try and help. With God's grace, if we establish everything that we need to establish here and we have enough funds. The other reason why I would move back sooner is, if I need to be there for my family. My family is most important to me, and if I have to drop everything that I have here and move, I will. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Oh my God, Selva, this was so awesome. I feel like no time has passed. And it's like we did SPM last month, and I'm talking to you right now. That's how it feels.
It's been such a journey, and I'm so happy as well for you, Yosh? Like, I know it might not have been easy for you as well moving. You were much younger.
Yeah, I was 19 for undergrad. And I think in the beginning, when you're doing your studies and all, it's all very temporary.
Yeah,
And it doesn't really become permanent till you have a job and then you start to build a life here.
yeah,
And for me, it was honestly like when I got my permanent residency status
yeah,
and,
yeah,
continue to have a career here, I was like, oh, it almost feels like there's no going back. But also,
yeah.
if I went back, there's like now, like I'm in an in between state
Mm.
where I think with career and all that, I have the best opportunities here. Not to like, shed any negativity on Malaysia, but it is what it is with America being, the leading place to be for technologists. But in Malaysia, I have the best family and I'm very close to my parents. Like I call my parents almost every day. I also have the same thoughts as you. And if I really need to, I will be able to go back to take care of them for a short while. Like all that is available to me. So I'm very lucky. But yeah, any closing remarks before I let you go?
I think we should all, at some stage in our lives, come out of our comfort zones and be brave in exploring our potentials. And that doesn't necessarily mean moving countries. It can be moving jobs, moving states, taking a new degree, going to a completely new place and starting all over. I think it just opens your eyes. When you're stuck somewhere small, you think that's your world and there's nothing else beyond that. And then when you go to these bigger places and you see how things are run there or how people are there, and you're like, wow, I've never seen this or learned this all my life. And you will never get this in books either until you do it yourself. So I think that's very important.
That was just excellently said. It's what I feel deep down, and great way to close out, Selva. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right, everyone, that is a wrap for today. See you all in 2 weeks.